So hello, my name is Kyle Bess. I am a security analyst at ReliaQuest, as you see on the screen. This is my first internship so far, not only in the security field, but also in general. So over the next couple slides, I will be walking you through the organization entirely, the culture of the organization, as well as some of the experiences that I gained, the value that I personally add to the organization within my role as a security analyst, as well as the progress that I'm looking to make not only professionally, but also within the organization and scholastically as a whole as well. So we're going to go on to the next slide. So the company operates in cybersecurity, but it doesn't do it in the traditional sense of providing a tool that a company can use to monitor their network. So what ReliaQuest does is they act as independent contractors that will sit on top of pre-existing security solutions in order to utilize them to the best of their ability. So some may be confused as to why exactly a company would necessarily want to justify the additional costs that a contract from ReliaQuest could throw in. It's multi-million-dollar contracts, but what it has been seen today is all of these security vendors that develop these advanced systems like security information event management. They're multi-million dollar hardware and software solutions to bring in all of the company's events into one centralized point. As companies and enterprise environments start to buy more and more tools, although the board of directors and often C-level executives could justify the price thinking, well, now the organization is more secure because we have more tools to be able to detect anomalous behavior within our environment. That is not necessarily true. So within the white paper that actually ReliaQuest reached out to C-level executives, so CISOs, so Chief Information Security Officer, they found that actually as the amount of tools, so the amount of like software or hardware solutions that an enterprise will have in their environment increases, what also increases is the amount of time it will take to respond to an alert. So what ReliaQuest tries to do is they try to bring in all of this information and security related data from disparate sources in order to better respond to these alerts faster. And this is insanely important, especially if it's of a higher severity. So what was being seen is an on-premise security analyst would have to spend their time logging into all of these various tools to see different things where they didn't have one centralized platform. That's where ReliaQuest and the Security Operations Center that I work in, the SOC, as some call it, that's what we do. So going forward, what ReliaQuest is also trying to do is develop software that brings in information from 20 plus tools into one web page so that analysts can actually further pivot into that, and it can reduce investigations by as much as 50% to 65%. So going onwards into the experience summary without getting very, very technical into the company profile, but I will touch on that later. ReliaQuest is a company of culture, and you'll see that here. So here you see some of the individuals that I actually interviewed within ReliaQuest itself for this presentation. So they're from various roles. So you have functional endpoint detection and response analyst Michael Rogers. He acted as my mentor during the RQ Labs training program before I could interview into the company itself. I have a little joke in there because he's an incredibly knowledgeable and dependable resource for all this various security information that can get so overwhelming at times because there's so much to know. But one of the most common themes within all of the interviews was just how fast the company moves. Security is obviously one of the most fastly expanding fields on the planet, because as the internet is becoming a medium for expression of ideas and art and all of these other things, by nature, a lot of people are contributing to malware analysis, and then there's two fields of these people. There's white hat and black hat. So black hat hackers are the people that will attack organizations like Equifax. So whenever there's a data breach, black hat hackers use previous malware research as well as independent development on top of that to exploit a known vulnerability. Whereas white hat hackers will often act as an advisory role to organizations to better reduce their amount of security or their attack vector. So the general surface area that they're actually exposed to an attack. So going on from there, we have the core values. So these can be seen throughout the office. They are always repeated in various documentation within the organization, and ReliaQuest's whole outlook on hiring is not only that they have to hire people that are willing to do the work, but they have to hire people with the right mindset, because with the right mindset, you'll be able to train anything. So, for example, myself, I come from a business analytics and information systems background with a minor in accounting. That doesn't necessarily scream security analyst. However, there's people from such fields as Japanese. I have a coworker who actually works in the Dublin, Ireland office, who studied Edo era Japanese at University of Oxford for his master's degree, and he is genuinely one of the most intelligent security analysts that we have in the entire organization, and he's constantly developing new ways and new systems to better reduce the amount of time that we're going to triage an alert, to better ReliaQuest software entirely. It's absolutely incredible, because with the right mindset, this company has shown me that really anything is possible. So my contribution within the organization itself, so my main role is event analysis and triage. So what that means in layman's terms, in non-security speak, so what will often happen is an endpoint is, for example, like a workstation, so like a laptop that someone from HR or marketing may be working on, or it could be something like a web server that organizations are going to upload all their files to. So if a virus or malware was to be detected on one of those endpoints, it would fire off an alert. So my job in this instance, and these alerts can vary depending on their nature, what technology they're based out of, what protocols they're using to transport data, what you have to know, and you'll see in the last bullet point there, in order to understand an anomaly, you must first understand what has to be expected. So if you're investigating an alert and you don't know what's a true positive, you will not be able to identify what is a false positive without reasonable certainty. So within that previous example that I gave you, where an endpoint is detected to have malicious software on it, what I would do is I would go into the customer environment, and these customers are multi-billion-dollar organizations, and some of the names that I can say publicly range from Southwest Airlines, who, if their systems went down, it could potentially cost them millions of dollars, to Abercrombie and Fitch, another large organization with multiple branches and stores in basically every shopping mall that I've seen in the last 5 years. All of their systems are dependent on this triage. So if a virus was detected on that server that I gave you an example of, my job would be to go into their environment and use the tools that I would be provided in order to answer a couple questions to determine whether or not, okay, is this a true positive? Does it need to be handled internally within their organization? And do they need to wipe the computer and clean it and scan all of the other computers that interacted with it? Or is it a false positive? So an example of some of these questions I would ask would be, how did the malware get on there? So I would have to pivot into like a firewall a firewall or any tool that is logging, like basically pulling in information from the endpoint, from the perimeter of the network that data is moving through, in order to try to find a malicious file. So if I was able to find that malicious file and I had an identification for that malicious file, and that's the one that I saw on the server, I would be able to go through there and see if it's on other workstations, see what exactly happened within 6 or 12 hours of the file being detected on the workstation, being able to answer very crucial questions in order to lessen the load that the internal security teams at these large enterprise environments have to then respond to. So the main goal that ReliaQuest is offering is efficiency. So other than that, other than my main role, even within security analysis, there are specializations that you can acquire, and there are focuses and all of these different technologies that you can further pursue. What I personally have chosen to do is I have paired with the Learning and Development Division within ReliaQuest internally to better adapt their learning material to teach newer analysts coming in about security fundamentals, because I myself was in that situation in early January. And I have risen to now advise multi-billion-dollar organizations successfully as to methods that would better reduce their attack vectors. I spoke to a multi-million-dollar logistics firm and shipping firm within my first week. I was on the phone with one of their directors of their security center telling them what they should do. Within 3 months of working at ReliaQuest, I now consider myself a cybersecurity expert. Not only this, but the skills and tools that the College of Business has taught me entirely have been able to traverse security itself. I've been pairing with the Business Analytics Division to better model the customer experience and to improve the customer experience and improve their standing going forward. So what we're currently using is we're using a system of graphing the amount and the nature of alerts that have happened within their environment, as well as what their closures were, so whether or not they were true positive or false positive, in order to better give them an understanding of what they have in their network themselves. Because, like I said earlier, with so many tools in their network, without knowing a baseline of performance, and without being able to tune out some of the extraneous alerts and extraneous information that necessarily isn't pertinent to the situation, they're not going to necessarily know how to further conduct their operations within the environment without having to spend time investigating a false positive. What ReliaQuest is doing is trying to make enterprises a more secure space, and they're even offering free resources in the time of crisis in the wake of coronavirus in order to improve enterprise security entirely. And I can gladly say that my contract was extended past the April 30th date until my date of graduation. And upon graduation, I will determine whether or not I would like to continue within the organization or pursue further education for my master's degree in most likely data science or computer science or software engineering. Other than that, I am more than grateful for this organization teaching me everything that I possibly could have known, and I genuinely think that the people that I have learned from here, I will carry those lessons throughout my professional career, and I will always remember my first internship. Have a great day. I really enjoyed this class. Goodbye.